two things are 100% clear. We're playing Pittsburgh in week 7 in Miami, and Tua is going to start. There you go. Those are two facts. But after that, a lot of stuff gets cloudy. And I want to use Tom Brady, pretty good quarterback, whether you like him, you don't like him, pretty good quarterback, in his recent comments to really cement the idea that it's not just about Tua coming back. It's about Tua and my man Terron. And this is not to diminish Tua. You can check my record. Before anybody, pretty much, I did 3 hours worth of video to show this kid's platform, his mechanics, his strength was really affecting him, dating back from 2020 to 2018. Last year, when all the talk about Tua not being good enough, I spoke about lack of running game, lack of offensive line. I mean, pretty much the worst offensive line in the history of the Miami Dolphins. And how Tua's release and his ability to throw with ball location offset this horrible offensive line situation. I have tried to defend him with legit evidence, not just saying platitudes. So I got skin in the game. I got a history with it. And I want this kid to do as well as he deserves. And by deserve means how he performs on the field. As a human being, I really like him. But I find that Tua is a piñata for a lot of people. A lot of media types, they make their money either hating him or loving him. They're allowed to do that. He's a public figure, whatever. But for the fans that really love Tua, supporting him is critical, but also having a clear understanding. Because my contention is, if he comes back and doesn't get the protection and doesn't do well, as Ross and the Dolphins are want to do, and the media, he'll be the piñata on the negative. He'll be the sacrificial lamb. Now, if he has the protection and he doesn't do well, he deserves everything. But let me take a look at Tom Brady's recent comments, and let's begin the journey with Tom Brady kicking it off and a load of very interesting statistics in comparisons between the Vikings and Pittsburgh and the Dolphins and Tampa. And it's going to be very clear, and I'm going to move very fast. But here's Tom Brady. Let's see what he has to say. Tom Brady is not saying, I love you guys, you're the best, you're missing blocks, but I'm still throwing touchdowns, taking you out for hamburgers. He's saying a lot of F-bombs. And he's saying that because he had pressure, an undue amount of pressure on the day, and it compromised the team's results and his performance. But let's take a look at the type of pressure he received. Let's take a look at Pittsburgh, who we're going to face. Let's compare Tampa to the Dolphins, and let's take a look at the Vikes and see what kind of comparisons in reality we can draw for this to show that it's not just about the return of Tua. He's a part, but it's about Tua having legitimate protection, and Terron is the man to do it. Now, before I get into all that, I want to say thank you for stopping by, for everything, like, subscribes, the comments, especially the comments. I want to give a quick shout out to you guys, but also my sponsor, Ace Per Head. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. Okay, so you got to see Tom Brady freak out, curse out his offensive line like nobody's business over this. Let's take a look at this graphic. He had 3 throwaways, 9 pressures, and 2 sacks. That's what had Tom Brady losing his mind, saying that when you have more F-bombs than you do touchdowns, it's a bad day. What would Tom Brady say about the pressure that our quarterbacks experienced in week 6? Well, we had one throwaway. That's good. 20 pressures and 3 sacks. And you could say, well, they need to step up in the pocket. You can get into all the particulars. But the reality is the throw times, if everything was clean, Tom Brady had very low, like 2.21 or something, where ours was like in the 6 range. But when there was pressure, they were about the same. And we run a lot of play actions, which slows down the time delay between the action happening because players slow down for a bit. There is the play action, a little bit of movement, whatever. But generally speaking, these situations were very close. And let's take a look at the Vikings defense versus the Pittsburgh defense. And then we're going to gauge all this stuff up, and you're going to see a very, very clear pattern that I've been talking about for a while. Pittsburgh, 31st rush defense, 87 pressures, 18th run defense. Vikes, 108 pressures, 30th pass defense, and 16 run defense. So the defenses here are relatively close. Vikings, they get more pressure. But if you take a 20 pressure day away, which is like insanely exorbitant, and we've had 2 of them 2 weeks in a row, and Jets are unbelievable getting to the quarterback. So, you have to add some context in there. So you take away 10 to make it a normal day, which is on balance, and maybe the Vikings have 10 more pressures. But the overall defenses are the same. If you look at the offenses, what we'll do now, you're going to see there's a lot of similarities there too. And I say this because without Terron, we are going to have a substantially less offensive line than Tampa. With Terron, we have a healthy Terron, even with Eichenberg and Little, maybe Jackson will fill him out. It's a little bit better. And that little bit better with Tua's abilities should be enough to win the day, because when you watch the game, Pittsburgh had a couple of really, really big plays. And I do think the Dolphins have a chance to win. I think it's not a given. Flores understands a lot of stuff about this team. And I think there was a little bit of change adjustment in the defensive hierarchy after a couple of losses. And my inclination is that Flores' voice got a little bit bigger. And he's going to come in here with a little bit of advantage. But Tua and Terron can help mitigate this. So let's take look at another graphic here. And you're going to see trends, continual trends. We see a bunch of trends here of similarities. Let's see the next level of trends. Okay, so Tampa's offense, 6th in passing, 32nd in running offense, pressures 52 total, 6 sacks allowed, drops 13, blitzed 56 times, pressure rate 12.5%, 31st overall. Now, the Dolphins, 2nd passing attack, 30th rush offense, 83 pressures allowed, 10 sacks, 13 drops, 48 blitzes, 31st in pressure allowed. But if you take into account just Tua, who mostly had Terron, it was 25th, 5th worst. Okay? So, look at my handy-dandy graphic over here as I talk. Passing offenses are very similar. Dolphins, clearly, Hill and Waddle, most explosive receivers in the game combination. But Tampa, they've got some pretty good receivers if you take a look at themselves. They're no chumps, okay? And then they got Tom Brady. Now, Tua's really good. He's got a quicker release than Tom. He's a little more mobile than Tom, but I think Tom gets the rest of the stuff, don't you? Except for maybe throwing anticipation. Maybe it's real close. Both offenses, prolific passes with no run game support. Pressures, Dolphins have 83. Now, you can inflate that a lot because Terron's been out for 2 games, and there's about 40 pressures maybe in those 2 games. Terron makes a big difference. Big difference. So these are offensive lines are pretty similar with Terron in there. A little edge, I'd say, goes with Terron, even in the run game. Sacks, there was a lot of sacks that really came about over the last couple weeks without Terron, so you can't count that because Tua does mitigate the sacks. So many times last year, I kept saying, look at that. That would have been a sack if it wasn't for the quick release. And people were saying, why is he throwing in the ground? He was saving a sack. Okay, so Dolphins have an edge here with Terron in, a slight edge, but it's an edge. Drops, lots of drops by both teams, 13. But they're highly prolific passers, and so you kind of, but still, the drop rate is a little too high. Blitzes, about the same. Neither one are getting blitzed a ton. And what that means is they're getting pressure, the pressure that you see here, mostly organically. And that means the offensive line isn't really handling their job. But it also means when you look deeper, they have very vertical offenses, and it does put pressure on the offensive linemen. Without a run game attack that's really something to draw the eyes of the defense, it also makes the offensive line's job more difficult. But these are all similarities. But yet, Tom Brady has 12.5% pressure rate. Now, a lot of that is the design. They do have a lot more short passes. They also have a lot of more quarterback choices in there. And Tom Brady is obviously way better at reading and setting things up and throwing the ball away. Tua likes to hold the ball and go deep. He's a little bit more of a gunslinger in a sense, rash gunslinger than Brady. Brady's gotten a little bit wiser, being around for 55 years. So, but you still can't make 12.5% to 25% for Tua. Even if Tua is a little bit more careful, it's still not equal protection. And I got to get into the depth of it. But when you look at Pittsburgh, they are able to attack. They have a 3-4-4-3 front. They're able to do stunts, which takes advantage of Eichenberg, takes advantage of Hunt, takes advantage of Connor, who's still learning the position. There's a lot of ways for this team to get pressure, especially with Flores understanding what's going on. And a 25% pressure rate doesn't bode well for Tua to have the kind of comeback. And who knows if it's going to be 25 without Terron. He never played a game without Terron. He never played one snap without, well, maybe one snap, but never a substantial amount of time without Terron. 25%. How many hits is that? Guy got a concussion. The increased likelihood for a concussion has gone up. Everything around this situation demands better protection. Brady freaked out with what he saw, and it was half of what the quarterbacks experienced last week for the Miami Dolphins. Tua has the ability to elevate an offensive line, but obviously Terron is near Hall of Fame when healthy, and he's on the offensive line. So his ability to elevate the offensive line is much higher. The combination of Terron and Tua puts you in a situation that you can win. Tua can protect himself unless he gets a little bit of a cheap shot or a free blitzer comes in or he holds the ball a little too long and something comes at his blind side. But Terron has to be that piece. Dolphins, they win here. They can win next week and the week after that and probably the week after that and go into the bye very smooth. But Tua by himself is likely to have an off day like Brady. He's likely to suffer more pressure than Brady because Brady just understands the game better. And if we all keep saying it's all about Tua, he's changing everything. Mark my words. If he doesn't have a good day and the pressure's there, nobody's going to talk about the pressure. Oh, they'll say, oh, yeah, the pressure. And then they'll go back to him. Well, just maybe he's not good enough. Maybe the concussion has messed him up and now he's nervous or whatever. That will be the narrative. Terron and Tua can get this win and keep the narrative change and the trajectory that the Dolphins are on before all this stuff happened. But please understand, it is Terron and Tua. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Just Kurt saying thanks for staying to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This is a big week, guys, for so many reasons. Let's keep our eye on the ball. Let's keep our mojo high. Let's ask the football gods to give us a rare break that we get. We need it. Catch you next time. Go Phins. See you soon. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.